We're making a fucking tier list, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what is this tier list? You guys might be wondering. This is the official, the dedicated Pokemon game tier list, ladies and gentlemen. We've been doing a lot of Pokemon shit lately, okay? You guys have seen on the channel. We've been opening cards. We've been talking a lot about Pokemon, doing a lot of Pokemon stuff. So I think it is very fair to do this now. Now, before I start making this tier list, actually, hold on, two things. First, let me fix my camera. This is a mainline Pokemon game tier list. And I want to preface this by saying that I was born in 1999. I grew up playing Pokemon games. My first real generation was Fire Red, Leaf Green / Gen 3. I don't remember exactly which came first. I think it might have been Fire Red and Leaf Green. I was a little too young for Gen 2 in its prime, but I played all the games. When I was a kid, when I was a kid, mind you, I went back and played the Gen 2 games. I asked for them for Christmas one year and got them. I played Fire Red and Leaf Green. I even played OG Red, Green, and Blue, or not Red, it was Red and Blue. And then they did a yellow version, which had Pikachu on there, big fat Pikachu. So I've played, here's actually the yellow version that I was talking about. So I've played literally every single mainline Pokemon game. Every game on this list I have played. Each generation minimum. I haven't played, for example, Sun and Moon. I played Sun. I didn't play Moon. But I've played every single generation of Pokemon. There's not one gen on here that I cannot rate. Okay? And also remember that this is a personal opinion. Okay? This is personal opinion. Let's go ahead. Let's get it cracking. Okay? Let's go ahead and start here. I'm not going to go in chronological order. Well, no, I will. Let's do it. Okay, so let's do Gen 1. And the way we're not going to rate red, blue, and yellow differently, for example. All three are listed. We're just going to rate yellow. When Gen 3 comes, when Gen 2 comes, we're doing Crystal. Gen 3, we're doing Emerald. That's just how we're going to do it. We're rating by generation here. Because I think it's very redundant to just rate each of these. It's a waste of time. Gen 1, Pokemon Yellow. Listen, this generation started it all. I think objectively, the Pokemon in this gen are just the GOATs. They're the most iconic. They went all out here. It's an exceptional generation. This is what birthed it all, okay? It's not quite S tier because I think there was a lot of things that they needed to iron out in Gen 1. Honestly, I think the game was a little too easy early on, and they solved that in the future generations. But Gen 1 was a little too easy. It was a very great world, but very basic, and the remaster did a great job later on, which we'll talk about. Did a great job of perfecting Gen 1. Later on in the franchise, they applied everything they learned through making the future games to go back and make Gen 1 pretty much perfect, which we'll talk about. But, initially, the Gen 1 games, first off, they were black and white, okay? There was no color or anything, which isn't horrible. That's fine. But, that was just a reflection of the time they came out. But they haven't aged very well. If you want to play Gen 1, you don't go play Gen 1. You play Fire Red or Leaf Green. That's the true Gen 1 experience. Even people who emulate, they're not emulating Gen 1, base Gen 1. They're emulating Fire Red, Leaf Green the majority of the time if they just want to play the game, right? It's still an amazing gen, though, and you have to pay your respects. You give it an A. Next up, Gen 2, dude. Let's talk about a Crystal, Gold, Silver, and Crystal. This, I think, is where Pokemon started to really bang, dude. This is where oh, fuck. I will never forget the trauma inflicted upon me by the gym leader number 2's milk tank. I will never forget the trauma inflicted on me by that Pokemon. That was my first insanely hard fight in the Pokemon franchise. Gen 2 was, for me as a kid, a genuinely challenging Pokemon generation when I went back and played it. It was hard. I loved the starters. Totodile is one of my favorite Pokemon ever. I love him. The legendaries here are exceptional. The legendaries here are absolutely stellar, right? You get Suicune, you get Raikou, you get Entei. The dogs are cool. The mechanics behind finding them are probably the coolest part, where they're in the world after you complete the game and you stumble upon them. I remember at summer camp with my friends when I was a kid. By the way, I'm putting this in S. But I remember, by the way, when I was at summer camp as a kid with my friends, I remember my buddy Cameron was the first among my friend group to catch one of the legendary dogs. He caught I think it was Entei. No, it might have been Raikou. I don't remember. I remember he caught one of the dogs, and everyone was going crazy when he encountered him. And they were hard to catch, too. You would encounter one time, but that didn't mean just because you encountered it, you were going to catch it, right? Far from it, dude. They were very, very evasive. The end game content was super sick. That was the real end game pursuit in Gen 2 because they didn't have what the Emerald tier end game yet, where you had, what was it, the Battle Frontier or something. What was it called? The after you beat the Elite Four in Emerald, they didn't have that yet. So effectively, your end game in Gen 2 was just pursuing the legendary dogs, which was sick as fuck. It was very, very fun. S tier, Suicune is goated, Entei's goated, Raikou's goated. Some of the most iconic legendaries ever that really, like, they're just cool, dude. They feel legendary. I think something that the Pokemon series struggled with later on, especially, is they really had a hard time making legendary Pokemon. Like, the later gen legendary Pokemon do not feel legendary in any fucking way, right? But this was not an issue yet in Gen 2. They really did their shit here. Like, this is where legendaries were just gas, right? And you had the birds, too. Oh, my God, dude. The fucking Gold had the birds, too. Oh, my God. Look, there's Ho-Oh right there. Zapdos, Articuno. Wait, no, they were Gen 1, though. They were in Gen 1. No, because I vividly remember catching an Articuno. No, they were in Gen 1, weren't they? The birds were Gen 1. Correct me here, chat. Were the birds Gen 1? I'm like 99% certain they were Gen 1. Because I remember the cave that Articuno's in, the big ice cave on like the little island, you have to sail out to it. That's Gen 1. I don't know. I need some gamers here, dude. Either way, I need some gamers here. Doesn't matter though, because the dogs are really the main focus of Gen 2, and the legendary dogs are some of the best legendaries they ever did, in my opinion. Next up, okay. Gen 3, Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. Dude, I'm gonna say right now, and I stand on this, Pokemon Emerald is objectively the greatest Pokemon game ever made. It is by far the best Pokemon experience ever made. The new Pokemon introduced in Gen 3 are extremely, extremely creative. The legendaries, Groudon and Kyogre, the lore behind them with Team Magma and Team Aqua is dope as fuck. It legitimately feels like the whole world is in your hands almost. Like, you determine the fate of the world in these games. And catching Groudon or Kyogre is an insane experience. Groudon, I specifically loved going into his cavern, all the lava's around there, and it's just one of the hardest fucking encounters. I remember spending so much time catching him when I was younger, dude. Pain in the fucking ass to get that guy into a Pokeball, dude. He didn't want to do it. Took me forever. I remember being a kid, and every time I threw a Pokeball, I'd put down my Game Boy, and I'd literally, like, pray. I never went to church. Wasn't a religious kid, but I would sit there and pray, and I'd be like, please, God, I'll go to church on Sunday. Please catch the Groudon, dude. And then I caught the Groudon, and I don't specifically remember if I followed through on my promise, but I vividly remember that part, dude. And Emerald was really the peak, just perfection of Generation 3. It took Generation 3 and added the greatest endgame to any Pokemon ever. Gen 3 endgame is amazing. What is the Battle Tower? Correct? The Battle Frontier, Battle Tower? I don't remember the exact name of the like end game battles you do in Emerald, but I remember they're hard as fuck, dude. They're insanely hard. They test your skill. It's no longer, listen, you can breeze through the whole main game all the way to the Elite Four doing nothing but attack moves on all your Pokemon. But once you make it to end game, buddy boy, you got to start learning everything else, okay? That's where shit gets real. Right, Quasa's encounter going up the tower with the bicycle and everything and fighting him at the very top was in-fucking-sane. I really liked the world in Gen 3. Exploring in Gen 3 was very, very fun and rewarding. I think up to this point in the franchise, it had the best world, 100%. It was super sick. One of the things I remember most is I would always, when you go to, Dugong Island or Dugong City, it was on the island when you take the sailor's boat from the port very early on in the game, and you sail over that island. I remember going into the cave and catching a Makuhita, I believe that is, the big fat guy with the gloves. I would catch a Makuhita almost every run. That is like a classic strat that I employ. I always catch the Makuhita. Emerald is just one of the most nostalgic games for me. I do a playthrough of this game very often. I adore Gen 3 and easily my favorite Pokemon games. Gen 3, my favorite generation. In fact, I own physical copies of all three. I own Emerald, I own Ruby, and I own Sapphire. And that's not cheap nowadays, dude. I love those games. We'll honestly probably do a playthrough of Emerald at some point. I think on stream we will do a Pokemon Emerald run. I just love it, dude. I fucking love that game. If I had to pick one game on this whole list to do a stream playthrough of, it would absolutely be Emerald. No question. Either way, next up on the list, Fire Red, Leaf Green, the remasters of Gen 1. Honestly, these perfect perfected Gen 1, okay? These also deserve an S tier rating. I think the graphic style, it was a little more cartoony in Fire Red Leaf Green than it was in Emerald. It was a little softer on the eyes in a way. And I liked that a lot. I think the graphical style of Fire Red Leaf Green might be my favorite of any of the Pokemon games. Any of them. I really, really like Fire Red Leaf Green. It's just enjoyable, dude. It's a classic play. Endgame content is nowhere near Emerald, but I'm going to be totally honest and say that Endgame is not, like, I don't really care to play much further after I beat the Elite Four. Like, once I've beaten the Elite Four, it's like, dude, I completed my journey. I did it. Like, I don't care to play beyond that very often. I would honestly rather start over and do another run with different Pokemon. You know, that's my personal take. But you do have to comment on that, as I was just glazing Emerald for the end game. Fire Red doesn't have the same, like, the end game's not comparable to Emerald. Emerald had probably the best end game ever, but I don't care that much. I really don't. Here we go. This is where things are going to start getting very interesting very quickly, chat, okay? Because we're talking Gen 4 now. And Gen 4, listen, there's a couple features of this generation that I need to highlight. First and foremost, I have extremely strong nostalgia being at summer camp. I went to this place called Kindercare with my friends. My parents were divorced. They both worked all day. I didn't get to stay home for summer until middle school. In elementary school and early middle school, I would go to a place called Kindercare. And Kindercare, I think it might have been only elementary, actually. I think in middle school, by the time I got to middle, they had to kick me out because I was too old, I think. I think I aged out of it. But either way, off topic, I remember this was the generation where there was real multiplayer. You could go into the underground with your friends. You guys fucking remember the underground? Mining with your boys. You'd find like stuff in the walls and shit. You'd like build your little hideout in the underground. Yo, the underground was fucking fire. That shit was super cool. It felt nothing like the other Pokemon games. Previously, the extent of your ability to play multiplayer Pokemon with people was pretty much like plug it in and do a trade or maybe battle. But this was like, oh my God, like multiplayer Pokemon. This is the first, like, they really experimented this generation. They tried a lot of new things in Gen 4 and for the better. Unfortunately, I think one of the big issues with Gen 4 is that Dialga and Palkia are, at that point in the franchise, the weakest legendaries they'd ever created, in my opinion. They were just the least compelling. Like, they just, in a weird way, I didn't feel as, like, hype when I caught Dialga back in the day. I wasn't like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, Dialga because Diamond, you know, Palkia because Pearl, he's got a pearl on his shoulder. Like, they were pretty fucking lame in all reality. They were never anything but lame. But the starters this gen were sick. The starters this gen were fucking dope, dude. Very, very cool starters. This was the gen that we got Blaziken, correct? Yeah, we got Torchic. Oh, dude. I'm going to keep it a buck. Gen 4 might have had the best. Was that 3? Wait, no. Wait, who was Gen 4? Oh, was it the fucking. Wait, hold on. Was it the monkey dude? It was the monkey dude. It was Infernape. Never mind. I take back everything I said. I take back everything I said, actually. Infernape's not nearly as cool. Infernape's not nearly as cool as Blaziken. Blaziken's probably the best fire-type starter outside of, obviously, Charmander. But, like, dude, fuck. Yeah, Garchomp. Garchomp is, like, a fan. I personally don't care for Garchomp that much, gonna be honest. But I understand a lot of people fuck with Garchomp. But, yeah, okay. I retract my statement about this. Hey, Kirkland. Not about. Come on. You have an opinion on this? Sit in my lap. Thankfully, Platinum was released, and Platinum solved that problem because Giratina is one of the greatest legendaries ever created. The motherfucker, dude, he's the timekeeper, bro. He's literally the go. He's Giratina's the one. All right, Palkia, fuck off. Dialga, fuck off. Just play Platinum this generation. Like Gen 3, you can play Ruby or Sapphire and you can get a great experience. You know, Gen 2, you could still play Gold or Silver and it's awesome. You don't have to play Crystal. Gen 4 is a generation where I really say you kind of have to play Platinum. And if you don't, it's not a S tier generation. And for that, I have to rank this whole gen in an A. Gen 4 gets an A out of me. It would be S if we were just talking about Platinum alone, but we're not. We're going by generation. We're just plopping, you know, the lead game out of each generation. Okay, my camera's frozen again. Kirkland, you got to get down. Sit talking to the mic or something real quick. You guys hear that? Oh, I hope you guys heard that. Oh my God. Either way, yeah, Gen 4 is the first time where like you got to play Platinum or else you're definitely missing out on the experience. You know, like Gen 3, same thing. Gen 2, you know, you can play any of the games and still have a great time. But Gen 4 is like, okay, Diamond and Pearl are noticeably weaker than the other ones, but Platinum is not. Platinum fixes the problems. Right? Okay, next up, Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Dude, these games are elite. Right alongside Crystal, like literally shoulder to shoulder, a perfectly done remaster of Gen 2, perfectly modernizes Generation 2 for anyone to play. There's no need to play Crystal anymore when you can play Heart Gold, Soul Silver, right? There's just not. A complete masterpiece, a perfectly done remaster, a remaster that every future one should have been taking notes on. Every future one should have been taking notes on how Heart Gold, Soul Silver did it, but they unfortunately did not. It did not take notes on that. And that's okay, though. That's okay, though. Let's keep it going. Next up, we've got... This is where I think the Pokemon franchise really kind of takes a turn for the worse here. And I say that as someone who lived it in the moment, not as someone who grew up, because this generation and the generation following are very well received nowadays. But I'm telling you right now, as someone who was like prime Pokemon playing age when these games came out, Pokemon Black and Pokemon White were not good games to me at the time. Okay? Pokemon Black, I will commend it where it's due. The right thing that they did in this game, and the thing that I wish all the Pokemon games did, is they really forced you to play with the new Pokemon in that generation almost exclusively for the majority of the gameplay. You couldn't get the majority of other Pokemon until like post-game content, right? They kind of forced you to learn and play with all these new Pokemon. Unfortunately, they were completely out of Pokemon ideas by the time they started making Black and White and Black and White 2. So we started getting things like the garbage bag Pokemon, the ice cream Pokemon, the fucking chandelier. Why am I playing as a chandelier? Why did I just throw a Pokeball in a bag of garbage and it's moving? Like, they were completely bankrupt on design ideas at this stage. And yes, the gameplay was still fun. Yes, it was still, overall an enjoyable experience. But the legendaries also sucked, okay? Kyogre and Reshiram were not very compelling legendaries compared to the previous entries. The same issue that they had with Diamond and Pearl, where the legendaries, in my opinion, were just noticeably weaker than previous entries, happened again. Reshiram and Kyogre, or not Kyogre, Reshiram and, oh my God, what's his fucking, I don't know, dude. Reshiram's the one I always recognize. But either way, just not very, Zekrom, just not very compelling legendaries. Not amazing Pokemon designs this generation. Thankfully, the gameplay was really fun. Black and White 2 didn't solve this problem in any way. But what they did do is Black and White 2 added a lot more gameplay overall. Like, there was way more endgame content in Black and White 2. Now, did Black and White deserve direct sequels when that had never been done before in the Pokemon franchise? No, I don't think so. And it's also never been done again, which I think they learned their lesson from that. I do not think we needed a Black and White 2, but Black and White 2, at least gameplay-wise, was better than base Black and White. At least you had a little more endgame content. So actually, we're going to move Black 2 a little bit ahead of base White and Black, a little bit ahead. They're pretty cool, but still not very great games, in my opinion. And also, I mean, same problems as Black and White, because it's literally a sequel to an already flawed generation. It's not much better. Okay, probably one of the weakest points in the franchise we're going to talk about next. Pokemon X and Y. Listen, I did not really like X and Y very much. I thought the city was cool, like going into the big city. It was like they really tried with this game. Like, they tried graphically and they tried to make the big cool city, but like, I did not like Mega Evolutions either. I was really, really not a fan of Mega Evolutions. I don't like it, dude. I don't like Prismatic. I don't like the Mega Evolutions. I don't like the terrestrial stuff. I don't like it. I don't like any of it. Call me a purist. I just don't. And this generation was the start of all that. Was the start of Mega Evolutions. Was the start of... I didn't like it. It was also, it was a pretty easy game from what I remember, but the legendary sucked this generation, dude. These were just normal-ass Pokemon. Like, these were, what was it? Xerneas and Yveltal. Yveltal's the bird one. I recognize him a little more, so he's slightly cooler. Fucking boring ass legendaries. Like, the worst legendaries I think the Pokemon series has maybe ever. No, I'm looking at the picture. No, not the worst. No, not the worst. Never mind, not the worst. But they were pretty bad. At the time, I think they were objectively the worst. X and Y were just really, really weak games in the series. And I think that's reflected in a number of ways. I mean, no one talks about these games today. These are also the cheapest Pokemon games from that generation that you can go buy. You can go buy Pokemon X for like $30 right now. That is probably the only Pokemon game outside of maybe Sun and Moon that you can buy below retail still, and it's like 10 years old. Like, that's impressive, buddy. That's impressive, you know? Just a brain-dead, shitty entry in the franchise, X and Y were. Not good. Not good. Honestly, I'm going down to D. C is too generous. I'm 100% going down to D. C is way too nice for what X and Y were. It really just horrible. Next up. Oh. Oof. Have you ever been playing a Pokemon game and said to yourself, God damn, I wish this was a cutscene instead? Have you ever been experiencing the gameplay and you said, listen, I just wish this was a fucking cutscene? Well, if so, I know which game to recommend. Watch out, Kirkland. You're falling through the gap in my lap. When I cross my legs, there's a hole, and he's so tiny, he falls through, so I have to pull him up. Either way, if you've ever wondered that to yourself, you've ever said, man, I just wish this whole game was a cutscene. Oh, God, don't chew on that cable. Then you should probably play Pokemon Sun and Moon, okay? Because, oh, my, don't piss me off. Don't piss me the fuck off, okay? The Alolan, oh, my, the Galat, dude. Oh, my God, I'm going to get pissed. I'm actually going to get mad. Pokemon Sun and Moon were fucking atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. Cutscene galore, uninspiring fucking Pokemon. The legendaries were dumb as fuck. Okay, what if this one was a dog who looked like a sun? Like, he's kind of like a lion. And then what if, like, this other one kind of looked like the moon a little bit, the shape of the wings, like, you know, Sun and Moon. Dude, oh my God. Brother, horrible legendaries. Cutscene galore, horrible. It was set in what, Hawaii it was supposed to be? How do you fuck that up? That's a cool tropical setting, bro. Come on. The Pokemon company I know would never fuck that up. Oh, you're being so cuddly right now, aren't you? Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, groom yourself. And like, just a horrible fucking generation. Selection of Pokemon was okay, but fuck off. And unfortunately, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon didn't do much to fix it. They really didn't. They were some of the weakest, like, hold on, I gotta switch legs here. There we go, Kirkland. Okay. Unfortunately, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon didn't really fix it at all. You know, they just kind of didn't. It's like more slop. Like, it's like, okay, what if we just put in more cutscenes and more shit that you really want to skip through, but you can't? That's Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. It doesn't fix it. They're both F-tier games, in my opinion. I'm a really strong hater of this generation. I despise Sun and Moon. I hate them. These are probably, like, even X and Y, I'll probably go back and play at some point. Sun and Moon, I am skipping. Like, I will never replay those games. Ever, bro. I have no interest in ever replaying those. I beat both back in the day. Oh, that, I think this is, like, even X and Y, I still played. It was like hanging on for dear ho. Sun and Moon was where I finally was like, oh my God, I think they've lost it. Like, for the first time, oh, that was cute, dude. I got to move my arm. Don't fall. Here we go. There we go, bud. Dude, you're going to fall. Sorry, I'm trying to keep my cat from falling here. I have a kitten in my lap. Next up, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, okay? For some reason, Omega Ruby's, like, buried back here, but we're going to rank Omega Ruby because I prefer Groudon to Kyogre, personally. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were very, very good, but, like, they didn't really improve the game, in my opinion. Like, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, I think, improved Gen 2 even further. But Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire didn't really improve Emerald. Emerald was already an amazing legendary experience that, like, didn't need improvement. And it was kind of just a port, but, like, I don't know, man. Mega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are A tier because I personally just go play Emerald. I don't play Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire. I just go play Emerald. You know, they don't have Battle Frontier. You know, that was one of the big things. You know, even if you don't care about that, it's just, I don't know, just go play Emerald. Literally, just go play Emerald. Isn't that right, Kirkland? Just go play Emerald, dude. Okay, next up. Ooh, the Let's Go games. Okay. The Babies Gen 1 is basically what this is. Gen 1 for babies, okay? This is, listen, if you unironically play the Let's Go games, like, you might be legally retarded. You know, that's just the only way to really analyze that. Like, dude, this is poverty gaming at its core. Like, you found the Let's Go games in the clearance bin at Goodwill, and all the other Pokemon games are pricing you out. This is the definition of poverty gaming right here. No, just like... Bro, literally go play Fire Red Leaf Green. Like, why are you playing Let's Go Pikachu? The game, like, you literally just, you have one attack, you spam one thing, but they're for kids, so I get it. But as an adult, yeah, why are you playing that? Don't play that shit. Oh, boy. Okay. Things are about to get fun. Here we go. Ooh, here we go. Ooh, woo, 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 woo. Here we go. Sword and Shield. Uh-huh. You see, Sword and Shield, oh, man. Where do I even start with these games? It was like semi-open world. It was like their first time dipping their toes into an open world, where instead of like having a route, it was like those open areas, like those wild areas that they had, right? And you could kind of, instead of like a predetermined, like every route in older Pokemon games is kind of like a hallway. Like you just would walk down a big hallway. That was pretty much it. Some hallways were wider, shaped a little differently, but they were all just basically hallways, right? And this was the first game where they kind of tried to do away with that, and it was cool. It was, I think, catching Pokemon in Sword and Shield was fun, but this game was stupid easy. This game was made for tiny little babies. Little 8-year-old, little 2-year-old babies, okay? Dumb fucking easy. What I appreciated about older Pokemon games is it's a game that literally everyone can enjoy. Like, you get your little nephew on there who's 5 years old, and he'll have a fun time, and you can get really into it and have a fun time. Okay, my camera is frozen once again. All right, hold on. Hopefully this doesn't keep happening. But either way, sorry about that, guys. Unfortunately, Sword and Shield, despite having very fun Pokemon catching mechanics with the open world area and that kind of stuff, very, very, very shit legendaries. Dumb mouth breather drooling individual could beat this game with his eyes closed and his hands tied behind his back. And it's just pretty fucking dog shit. Like, all the cities were lame. The trainers were lame. You didn't even have a rival. They got rid of true rivals at this point. They really made the game for babies, dude. And also, literally, I think the worst legendaries ever. They are completely creatively bankrupt. There's legitimately no reason why the games are called Sword and Shield and why there's a sword dog and a shield dog. Like, they're just completely bankrupt with ideas. Like, previously, they kind of a little bit tried to tie it, like, the legendaries in with the names of the games and stuff. And over the years, that trend started slipping, and, like, this is where they just lost it. They were just like, yo, fuck it, dude. Like, it honestly feels like the name of the game and the legendaries were the last part they made, like a month before the release. They were just like, dude, we still don't have a legendary. Like, fuck, dude. What if it was a dog when his fucking head was a shield? They're like, dude, we've done dogs 4 times. Like, dude, but his head's a fucking shield. And they're just like, all right, deal, dude. Fucking fine. All right, we'll do another dog. You know? Like, these games were horrible. I think Sword and Shield are objectively probably the worst mainline Pokemon games ever created. I don't think Let's Go even counts as a mainline game, but Sword and Shield are like the worst of the worst, dude. Horrible, horrible, horrible games. Now, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, okay? Remaster for tiny little babies. Little, little stupid little baby. Little shut up, baby. Shut up, you little baby. Oh, I hate the graphic style in them. I despise the graphic style. I will say they didn't do a terrible disservice to the original games, but like, why didn't we just get a platinum remaster? I don't understand what the Pokemon Company's resistance is to remastering the right game. We got a Ruby and Sapphire remaster and no Emerald. We got a Diamond and Pearl remaster and no Platinum. Like, why are they so immune to picking the right one? Like, and sure, some might argue, well, they want to make more money selling 2 copies of the game. But what they don't realize about dumbass Pokemon consumers like myself is if they remaster Diamond and Pearl and they also remaster Platinum, I'd buy 2 of the 3, right? At least. So, like, figure it the fuck out. You know, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, they did it again. Where's my Crystal remaster? Up my ass, apparently. You know, I don't understand why they have such a hard time with remasters. Like, Heart Gold and Soul Silver were objectively amazing, but, like, they could have been better, you know? Oh, my God, I love water. Sorry, I love water so much. The graphic style was horrible. And also, these remasters were outsourced. They weren't, like, actually Pokemon Company games. Some of you guys might know, which company did these remasters? Because I remember reading about this, how, let's see, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. Yeah, it's the first mainline Pokemon game to have a different company as the lead developer. They're most known for doing Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and they also made the One Piece game a couple years ago, One Piece Odyssey. Which wasn't a horrible game, actually. I did not, low-key, I probably should have played that game, but I've heard pretty good things about it. Damn, wait, I gotta buy that game. Wait, hold on, no, off topic. Wait, no, I'm buying that. Wait, is that a good game? Chad, is that worth buying? Is One Piece Odyssey fire? I heard good things. I don't know. Either way, we're getting off topic here. Just a very mid remaster that I think could have been given more love, you know? Next up, Legends Arceus. Can I be honest? I actually really liked that it felt like for the first time in the franchise's history, they were legitimately trying something new. Like, Legends Arceus was not a bad game. It was really not. And I had initially believed that this was the start of the new era of Pokemon. I was like, dude, finally, we got a banger. Sure, the graphics were fucking atrocious. Sure, like, there was a lot of technical issues with the game. And when for the year this came out, the graphics were literally inexcusably bad. But, like, dude, it was fun. The gameplay was fun. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't an S-tier game. I don't even know if I'd call it an A-tier game. But, like, for the first time, I was like, dude, they're cooking. Like, something new is brewing. Different combat, different method of catching Pokemon, a truly fully open world. Like, I was really, really intrigued by this game. And it didn't let me down. It was fun. It was fun. Arceus is a very cool legendary to base things on. He's like he's literally the GOAT. He's the originator, bro. He's Arceus. But, like, I thought this was a good game. Or, you know, if I had to tell someone, like, what is a Pokemon game that came out past 2020 that I would suggest you go play, Legends Arceus might be my number one. It might be my pick if I had to answer that question for somebody. It's just a good entry, dude. There's legit, like, graphics are if the graphics were better, I would probably be an A-tier game. You know, it's honest to God, just the graphics. And I also think it was a little weak, like, long-term gameplay-wise. Like, once the kind of shine wore off, once the hype wore off of this new way of catching Pokemon and playing, it did get a little mundane and kind of boring and repetitive at parts. But still a great game that I liked. Right? Next up, Pokemon Violet. You know what's really tragic about this one? Is that underneath the most technically flawed Pokemon game ever released is an actually fun game. Buried underneath a game that ran at like 15 FPS on its original console with god-awful graphics. A game that was legitimately unplayable on its original console. Like, listen, I'm a guy who I play PC games, I play in 4K 60 FPS, and I have a 4K monitor for gaming, and that's how I like to play. I could not stomach playing Pokemon Violet on release. I couldn't do it on the Switch 1. I finally went back and did it on the Switch 2. And you know what? It just made me sad, dude. It genuinely just made me sad. Because I realized, holy fuck, a really fun game got basically assassinated by god-awful optimization and graphics and technical issues. And that made me really sad because I had very low expectations for Violet. I'm the kind of guy where, like, I just play Pokemon games because I've played the franchise my whole life. And I didn't expect much going into Violet. And I didn't even realize. it's like the game I was done in a blink. I was sitting there. I was like, what the fuck? I just beat the game. And my camera's frozen again. Okay, we'll finish this rating either way. Okay. And now it's laggy. Now, oh my God, bro. I fucking hate my life, dude. I hate my life. It never ends. Oh my God. All right. It looks horrible, bro. It's laggy as fuck. Look at this shit, dude. Oh my God. So let's finish what we started here. Pokemon Violet is legitimately a lot of fun. It's open world, and like honestly, it's not really open world. It's kind of bait. They really clearly guide you where to go. Like it's not, you can't just pick a gym and go to it. There's still levels assigned to areas and assigned to gyms where like the experience is very much on the rails, but it is open world. Like you can't go anywhere. The game just makes it very clear you're not supposed to, but it's fun. It's fun, dude. It is just fun. Traversing the world is fun. You got a mount. It's a big open world. Catching Pokemon is fun. I liked the whole like the enemy system where like not only are you taking out gyms, but you're also taking out what was the like enemy group? What was this game's Team Rocket? What were they, bro? It was oh my God, I don't remember. But what I do remember is having a lot of fun doing all that open world stuff. It's an enjoyable experience, and it pains me that a fun Pokemon game is buried under the worst fucking technical issues ever publicly released in this franchise. Like just absolutely fucking brutal, dude. Brutal. But it's okay, because last but not least on this list, we have the newest entry in the series, Pokemon Zaza. I'm gonna be honest, Legends Arceus had me excited. Legends Arceus had me like, yo, like, dude, this new format of Pokemon, these Legends games are going to be sick. And then Zaza came out, and it's not Zaza. This game fucking blows. Imagine if you had to play a full Legends game, but instead of the big, cool open world like you got in Violet or Arceus, they locked you into a city that reminds you of playing Pokemon X. Like, dude, atrocious fucking game. It is horrible. This might be the first Pokemon game I'm not going to come anywhere close to finishing. Like every generation I have completed or done the majority of the games. Like Arceus, I never beat 100%, but I played the majority of Arceus and I enjoyed it. Legend Zaza is where I say no more, dude. No more. I've had it up to here. It sucks. It's so bad. And it really shocks me that despite Pokemon being such an iconic franchise that's doing so well, it is on such a downward spiral. Like it is legitimately in a death spiral, dude. It's scary for the entirety of it, because when you think about it, like, in my opinion, the heart of the franchise is the games. It's not the cards, it's not the show, it's not the movies, it's the games. All the other stuff, in my opinion, like, kind of spawns from the games almost, at least to me. I think the games have the most cultural relevance. It doesn't matter. Like, when they release a really bad episode of the anime, you don't hear about it. If they release a really bad set of Pokemon cards, you don't really hear about it that much. If they release a bad game, the whole fucking world knows about it. Like, Pokemon Legends ZA being awful was like the most viral thing on Twitter for the week it came out. It was everywhere. Everyone talks about it, right? And I mean, just, it's really scary, the future of the franchise, when you think about what's coming next after going Pokemon Violet into going from Sword and Shield to Legends Arceus, which is like, and then Violet, like, oh, and then ZA, oh. But yeah, no, I mean, it is, oh, man, we need a banger so bad. We need an A-tier entry into the series so bad. Honestly, Violet could have been it with more love. Violet could have been it, but like, oh, fucking brutal, dude. Fucking brutal. Play Pokemon Zaza is like smoking Nugget. It looks great, but the high sucks dick. It doesn't even look good is the problem. And I think fundamentally the concept of Legends ZA is flawed. Like, why are we locked into a city only? Who ever asked for that? Like, I don't know anyone who was ever like, dude, what if there was a Pokemon game where you couldn't leave the city? Like, I have never in my fucking life heard someone ask for that. Like, half the fun of the Pokemon games is, dude, you go everywhere, you know? Like, you go in the ocean, you're in snowy areas on mountaintops, you're in the little field between towns, you're in the big city, and then you're in a small town. Like, oh man,